thank you so much for joining me on Wednesday night. I've got a bonus video this week, yay! I managed to get loads of creativity done this week, and so I thought I would do an extra video for you. Tonight I'm going to do some watercolor fun, and I'm going to show you a really easy way to fill in some stamps and give them lots of dimension and character just with your watercolors. I'm starting with some cardstock, which is from my friend Marta. She makes all these prints herself. If you're in the UK, you can order some, but she also does have loads of freebies, so I'll link her website down below. I'm using her designs today because I think they're absolutely stunning. These are ones I purchased off her website. Again, I'll link that down below if you want to check them out. She does have those freebies, which are really, really awesome, and she has got a YouTube channel as well, so it's really worth looking at what she does. Now, I'm sorry if it's a bit echoey. I am doing my voiceover in the kitchen because my son's in the other room, and so I'm trying to multitask. So I'm going to use this stamps today. This is from Gill, and it's one of my favorite ones. You've seen it a lot in videos recently. You can do lots with these stamps. There's a whole bunch in the series. I'm also using some paper that I picked up from the Paper Boutique, which I just shared in the screen before. Now, my cardstock I'm going to use today is the Arteza Watercolor cardstock. Now, when I'm working with watercolors, I find the cardstock makes all the difference in the world, and Arteza's ones aren't cheap, but they are super top quality. I've tried about 8 brands now, and I can never get the same kind of movement as what I get with the Arteza watercolor card. So I use it sparingly, and you can get quite a few cards if you only ever use it as sort of a topper for your card. So that's what I've done here. I've gone ahead and I've cut it down to just be a little bit bigger than my stamp image. Now, just then I was gluing all my layers together, which is a bit boring, so that's why I wasn't explaining what I was doing. I've got my clear embossing powder, which I decant into this little container, just that, you know, I'm notorious for mixing it with something else, like some hair gets in there, some black embossing powder, whatever the case may be. I end up mucking it up, so I decant it into a little container so I don't mess the whole entire thing up. I've got my VersaFine Onyx black ink, which is my favorite black ink, super, super pigmented. And the reason I'm going to emboss with it is that the embossing powder builds a little ridge, which makes it really nice and easy for watercoloring on top. So I'm going to apply I'm going to apply my embossing powder onto my stamped image and then heat set that nicely. And I did use my anti-static powder bag before I went ahead and applied the ink so that my embossing powder only stuck to my images, because obviously when you come to use your watercolors, it's going to resist. Now, if you don't have watercolors, fret not, just use your ink pads. Give them a little swipe on a bit of a plastic surface, and use them and pick them up like you would a watercolor, as long as they are a dye ink, not a pigment ink. So these are my gouache colors from Arteza. I like the gouaches because I can refill my pans as I go. They come in little tubes and you just squeeze them into the pans, let them dry, and they work just like a watercolor palette. And then the nice thing is that you can then top up that one color if you use one color more than other colors. So in my set, I've got the full collection of watercolor gouaches, and I've got the full collection of the pearlescent gouaches as well. So what I do is I figure out what colors I want to go for. This time I decided to use all shades of blue. So I have wet every single blue I've got in my palette, and I'm coming in with some of the pearls, some of the normals. And then what I'm doing once I've picked my colors is I'm coming in with a darker color and just adding that to one edge of those circles, and then using my brush and some water to kind of drag the color a bit. Now I'm doing the same with the green. I wanted it to be green leaves because blue leaves look weird, but because I want them to tie in with the blue, I'm going to come in with that dark blue again, or the teal kind of blue, drag that through the middle, and then all I'm doing is adding a bit of water, and it kind of smooshes those colors together, and I just play with the paintbrush and water until I get a color that looks nice and blended. And that is the easiest way to kind of fill in a stamp, and it's nice and quick, and then you get the shading to it. So you can see on those little bubbles, it's got a little bit of shading to it. It just kind of makes it a little bit more, not realistic. I don't want to say realistic because it doesn't look realistic anyways, but it kind of brings it to life, I guess, if that makes sense. So all my layers I've just cut to be about 1/2 centimeter bigger than my little panel that I've got to go on the top, and that's all I've done with those. I started with my stamp, and then my card base is actually an A5, so I take an A4 piece of card and folded it straight in half and just put my layers together that way. So I always spread my glue from the back if I want to make sure it's nice and flat, just so I don't risk smudging any of my ink or any of my colors on the front. So now I've been able to pick the cardstock that I love, pick some blues so that the blues kind of go with the blues, and you get this sort of tone on tone look, and you get this gorgeous card, which took no time at all because all I did was use some watercolors. And again, use your ink pads if that's what you've got, and use those to pick up color and put down color onto your stamped image. That embossing just makes it really nice and easy to hold it in, and you can do the same sort of thing with the shading as long as you have got watercolor card. If you use normal cardstock, you know you've gone wrong because you won't get any shifting of those colors, you won't get any of the blending. I am mega inexperienced. I don't have a clue what I'm doing, and I kind of just wing it, and in this instance it worked really nicely, just using a bit of extra water and making sure I've got the watercolor card. These are glossy accents that I'm applying on the top, by the way, which give you a nice little domed clear bubble to go on the top. To do my sentiments, I did leave my project to dry. Don't worry, I didn't just put that down on the wet glue. I left it to dry, I think overnight, and came back in to put the sentiment on in the morning, because glossy accents do take quite a few hours to dry. So I have these sentiment strips from Alina's shop, and I'll link them down below as well. And they are just a fun little set with a really nice rounded edge. So I really like this set of sentiments. It kind of has one for everything in it. So I've been using it quite a bit lately, and you will probably see quite a bit more use of it. There are a few different ones that she's got in her shop as well. So I just wanted to make a birthday card because that tends to be what I send out at the moment. And I'm just going to pop it on a little bit of foam and stick it at the bottom, and that finishes off my card for today. So really easy way to fill in your stamps. And if you add the double colors, dual colors, you will end up with that kind of more dimensional look. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. And I hope it really just gave you inspiration to get out and get creative, because I had a lot of fun with this one and it didn't take very long at all, apart from allowing glossy accents to dry. So I look forward to seeing you on Saturday for Saturday Night Crafting. Hope you're all well. Take care and see you soon. Bye.